Love it. Fantastic. Here we go. Well, welcome back to the Sports Ranter. Thank you for all of our supporters who chime in every week. Thank you to our hosts, Nico and Jake, for joining us again. Once again, week 7 of the NFL. What an exciting time. And it really is a really gritty part of fantasy football. Most of us are you're either hanging. It's there's not much you can do. You're with your team, so there's really not much you can do other than the norm. All right, Seth, thanks for joining us again, my friend. And so, but we want to talk about a few things. Nick and Jake, like I said, thanks for being here. Every year, there's that guy. There's that guy who ends up taking you all the way to the show that you can count on no matter what. Now, it doesn't always mean he was a first round pick, right? Sometimes it's a first round pick, sometimes it's a late pick, sometimes it's right where they were and they carry you like they should. And so, Jake, if you don't mind starting us off, who you think is going to be on championship squads by the end of this season?
Well, there's definitely more than one. There's a few that came to mind when we thought of this topic, but Quinshawn Junkins, running back for the Browns,
Wow,
it looks fantastic. I mean, that dude, he has another gear in him. Whoever got him later in drafts, so they're probably stacking him. Hopefully, that person, their top picks aren't hurt or whatever. But that's going to be a guy that's going to finish probably as a top, I would say, probably a top 5 back in fantasy, and having missed the first 3, 4, 5 games, I forget how much he missed. So he's definitely one that comes to mind for me. The other one, we watched him last night, but Jackson Smith and Jigba was a guy that you got, in what is it, probably 4th or 5th, maybe third, 4th. Just guy's a stud. He's leading the league in yardage and all that. So he's a guy that's going to be there. But I think clearly, the big one, the big surprise, and all that, and the dude just has been on fire, and I don't see him stopping. Is James Cook? Like, James Cook is just is ridiculous. I think that he's going to be a guy that you're going to see, in a lot of fantasy playoffs, because again, it's where he went in the drafts. He was around a third round guy. I think third round almost every league. That means somebody got, stacked 2 good receivers or got a good running back. He's probably a lot of guys' number 2, quote unquote, and that's just that's absolute. That's savage, because he has exceeded expectation above and beyond. A wild card 2 could be, and this is not for me because not for me, but Rashee Rice. If somebody in the leagues where people held on it, because listen, he only was out there. I forget how he was targeted on 50% of his routes, and Kelsey only got, I think, Kelsey only got two targets, 2 catches. Rashee Rice is the man in Kansas City, and Kansas City is now the team in the AFC. I think Rashee Rice, if the person that drafted him was able to stay in the hunt, and now they get him back, that's going to be monster. So those are my guys that I think are going to be the common denominators on a lot of championship teams.
fantastic. So far, all these guys aren't on any of my teams. Nico, what do you think?
They're not on any of my teams either.
It's okay.
Um, Honestly, and I said this before the year, and I stuck to it. I was hoping he was gonna drop to me in the draft, in one of my other drafts, not our drafts, because I had the last pick. But Christian McCaffrey, I think middle of the
Wow.
first round. Uh, I'm like,
Mm.
obviously we all know injuries, but I'm like, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a monster. Like there's no ifs,
Yeah.
ands, buts about it. Now the injury risk is real. I'm not trying to deny that. So you run the risk, like and he's screwed over a lot of people in the past couple of years. So I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm like, if you took a gamble on him and you got him in the middle, I mean, in our round he went fifth, but I saw him going 7, 8, 9, sometimes on the turn. Like he was going late first, and you're getting, I mean, him and Bijan are going to be competing for that number one spot in the running back, and you got him late. Like Jake says, you get him, you probably got another solid either receiver or running back after. Like getting that production, that top number one overall production late in the first round or mid round in the first round. You probably were able, if you drafted, decently, he's going to carry you. And then obviously, I think we've talked about him a bunch of times. If he keeps going the way he is, Javonte Williams in the eighth round,
Yeah.
like, I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
drafted any type of decent team and then got him in the eighth, I mean, you probably got depth galore. Your
Yeah.
your team's probably great. I mean, again, we're assuming your team didn't get bombarded with injuries. There's a lot of injury teams out there, so you could have drafted Lamar and all kinds of other, Joe Burrow or other guys that Malik Neighbors and stuff with these guys, and so they're not really helping your team the way you thought. But if you got lucky with injuries and you have these guys where they went in the draft, yeah, I think that's just monstrous. And then I thought towards my team, if my team's gonna make it, I'm right there in the hunt. I'm 4-3, just lost my almost five in a row, lost by 3 points. But if I'm gonna make it, and I think, you know, I need Aston Genty to be Aston Genty. Now I don't even want to talk about the Raiders because I'm so fed up.
Ooh.
The whole
Dude.
Rasheed Rice thing, I would just wipe this
Oh.
week off. It doesn't even mean anything. The Raiders haven't showed up to play. I don't. Yeah, the whole Geno thing. That I don't know what it is. I
You
don't
know
know.
what?
I think we're cursed in the quarterback room. I mean, I'm talking like a true Browns and Miami and all the. I mean, since Rich Gannon left, and honestly, since the Raiders traded Gruden, there's something snake bitten about us, and it just sucks because all I said was, Gino, come over, just be an accurate quarterback, be better than last year's quarterbacks, which were the worst in the league, and we're going to be right there. And he comes over and he's the worst quarterback in the league. He's leading the
Last
league in
year's quarterbacks for
interceptions.
the Raiders were better than, I mean, you take them
Yeah,
at this
they
point.
threw less interceptions through 5 weeks or 6 weeks than last year. So I'm like, what? Why? Like we literally went and got. He had like an 80% completion percentage. He threw like no picks. Like we go out and get like the safest, non, risky quarterback. Just manage the game. Which I'm like, okay, this will work for now for the
With
Raiders.
his old coach.
With his old coach, and it's he can't read the field. Like I'm watching every game, he doesn't know where he's throwing the ball. So I don't like whatever. Too much Raider talk. I'm just moving on. But if my team's gonna win it, if my team's gonna win it, Genti, he had a bad week. He had good weeks leading up to Chiefs. Now, to be honest, I was nervous. I didn't think he was gonna have a big week against the Chiefs because kind of knew we're gonna be down and the game script. But running 30 plays, just so you guys know, was the least amount of plays run since the Browns came back to the league in '96.
Holy
In an offensive
moly,
game.
holy moly.
The Raiders only ran 30 offensive plays.
30 offensive plays.
Jesus.
30.
Wow.
The Chiefs had 31 first downs. So
God.
I don't even enough with the
That's
stats on that
crazy.
game. No, it's just I hate that
Wow.
we have to keep being embarrassed. Like I just want to be a formidable team, but the only thing I can hang my hat on is Miami still exists, the Jets still exist, and so I guess we're not the worst franchise. But yeah, it. Anyways, back to fantasy. If I'm gonna win our league for 3P, Genti's got to do his thing because if not, I don't see how I can take it all the way.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna have to agree with some of the names that you guys picked. Number one, first guy I'm afraid of this week. Maybe not so because the way our defense is performing, but James Cook, he was a third round pick on the average, and so he was right there, and he's just producing so well for a third round pick, and so if you got him as like your third player, wow, especially if those one or two guys are coming through, you're doing pretty good. I agree with Javonte Williams. He's that late consistent running back that just gave you good value. So I agree. Javonte Williams is going to be in some of those lineups. Some of the I wish I was this guy, but you hear too much shaking up, and you don't like all the movement, and you stay away from it. I don't need no Jonathan Taylor on my team. Those people, those are rewarded that took Jonathan Taylor are going to be rewarded for staying true to it. You know, hats off to those people. I just couldn't do it. But the one thing that I think is going to come into fruition, I think Baker Mayfield's in the same position. He was gotten late. He wasn't really respected as somebody. So someone snagged up Baker Mayfield, and he's going to be on some of those lineups. But lastly, for those who took Jamar Chase early, if you're still hanging in there with Jamar Chase, he might be something different now with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was surprised how good T. Higgins and Jamar Chase were together, right? And so I'm so excited to see what will happen to this. But holy shit, Jamar Chase came alive with Joe Flacco. Very unexpectedly, very, very uncanny. And so, but, which leads me to my next question, if you guys don't mind. Nick, let's talk about it, because I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know. I've had probably the worst fantasy. I'm still hanging in there in the 10 team. We'll go over that in a little bit. I'm hanging in there in your league, Nick. I'm 3-4. I'm still mid pack. I'm not panic mode in your league. Jake's league, I'm 1-6. I've never have already had 6 losses. I've always, same thing, in the race. There's always a chance to catch those 7 wins to get in. No, I'm at 6 losses already. But anyways, it is what it is. What's worse? The only thing that's keeping me in there is the fact that the Panthers have a winning schedule for the first time since 2019. So the question is, Nick, what's worse? Losing all of your fantasy games to all your friends on Sunday, or watching your team that was hopeful be good, dude? Because I've been hanging there in fantasy the last few years, but the Panthers, I'll say it, have been the worst fucking team in the league. Owners, everything. It's turning around, man. So how do you feel?
So I think it's a little of a imbalanced question, only because it's a little unfair, only because
it's unfair.
We're in control of our fantasy team.
Yeah,
I'm not in control of the Raiders. So if I had a pick, I would be in last place of all my fantasy leagues to watch the Raiders win.
Right.
It's a different type of joy.
Yeah.
Out of your control. Yes. We're fanatics, right? Fans.
Yes.
That part of it is like, yeah, I'll give up fantasy because I'll just play next year. Like, I'll give up to watch my NFL team because I'm out of that control. Now, as a man and for pride, right, then, control. Like, I like bragging that I'm the back-to-back champion and going for a three-peat. And
we know.
I'll bring it up as many times as I can and stuff like that. So it's not an apples for apples type of. But if I had to pick one, it's worth, like, especially coming off this week, Ben. This question, like, it was devastating on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was devastating to even watch that game. I didn't even want to complete it. I didn't even want to watch it anymore. But because I can't, I started staining my fence instead. I went outside, started staining my fence because I hadn't done the outside of it yet. I only did the inside. I was like, I need to go do something productive because this is not productive watching my team look like Ben's Pop Warner team out there. And I was just so frustrated. So yeah, just because it's out of my control, I rather see them win. A little more joy comes out of that for me.
What do you think, Jake?
So would I rather have all my fantasy teams lose and watch Buffalo win the Super Bowl, or would I rather all my fantasy teams? What's that?
Or win all your leagues. Be the guy that won all your leagues.
I mean, I don't know, guys. To me, it's pretty cut and dry. My fantasy teams, 100%.
Yes.
Okay, it's a no-brainer. Listen, even when I was like the most like into the Chargers before they moved and stuff, and how much I love like Josh Allen and I love the Bills and all that. Like, I just have never been as emotionally attached to a team like you guys have.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. Like, it doesn't ruin my day. What ruins my day more is when teams I hate, like the Chiefs, win. That
Right.
ruins my day more than like a team like
Team winning.
Buffalo wins it all. Then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, great, but fantasy has ruined this for me. Like, I'm so invested, time, money, like emotion. We do this every week. Like, no, hell no. If I can win all my fantasy leagues, and Nick, you know this, when you get
Wow.
that first win in your league, like, it's such a monkey off the back.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is so
Oh, yeah.
nice because, like, you sit back and you just don't have to stress as much, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, no,
Yeah.
give me my fantasy teams all day. I love football and all that, but there's, like, of course I'm rooting for a Baker Mayfield. I love Justin Jefferson. Josh Allen, fantastic. Like, these rookie quarterbacks like Drake May and Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. Like, I want to see all these guys, succeed. I want to see Daniel Jones make it to the playoffs with the Colts. Like, there's a lot of different aspects of football that I'm rooting for. But although, yes, I gravitated towards the Bills and I like them, it's because I was a fan of one guy coming out of college, and I like the team, I like the coach and all that stuff. But I mean, dude, it's not like I was going to the games with my dad when I was 5 years old. Like, I don't have that kind of connection to it. I guess
Well,
I would trade.
you guys both have switched. Okay, now if San Diego was still here, if they built a stadium here, if you guys were dead loyal to it, grew up watching them, you might have a little bit of a different
Sure.
take than I do, like you said, because you're not as invested. And no fault, you guys switched because fucking Dean Spanos is a dumbass, and I would have done the same
Right.
thing. So I don't fault you guys for switching, but I've been a Raider fan since I was in diapers, and I think that you're right, Jake. That's a little different than just ironically both of you guys had to switch teams. So and as adults, so like
You
can't
Now,
be
I would-
as emotionally invested.
I would trade, like, not, instead of winning all my fantasy leagues, I would choose
Yeah.
to just win like mine and Nick's league, and then give up the rest. If the Chargers can win a Super Bowl for my dad, because my dad has been a loyal Charger fan
There you go.
I mean, he has gone through just so much, and his
Yeah.
my grandfather, like, so I would give up a little bit for that.
Yeah.
You know,
I love this question, and here's how I'm going to answer it, because I don't know what made me more upset. Okay, the Panthers go 30-0 versus a divisional rival, and go, that's the team we're looking for. The next week, get their asses whooped by the Patriots, right? 42-3. Same thing, Nick. I can't watch this. Like, so angry. Like I said, invested as a fan, like, if they're all that crap, right? Change of ownership, David Tepper. Like, here we go. This, I don't know if that made me mad, or when Andrew beat me this week twice in both leagues and kept rubbing it in my face on the treads. Jacob, I think I had to call the therapist for this one. Like, this was really making me angry. I've gone away from the text messages thing. I know you guys missed that about me, but I really am mad, and I could go off for days on these threads. So like I said, hopefully there's a new invention or app where we could put our gifts or our things on or something, because I was pretty mad when I was just so hoping the 49ers to lose so I could just drill him somehow, right? Give me something.
oh
Give
God,
me
everything
something.
with that guy, man.
I know.
Yeah. Give
It's
me
so
something
annoying.
to drill him. But I couldn't, and God did not grace that with me this week, even though I'm blessed in my life. I don't need those things in my life right now, but it would have been nice to tell Andrew to shut up. Going back to fantasy, I remember being a Charger fan, being so invested as a Charger fan, being so angry at the AJ Smith contracts, the nonsense, the bullshit, the North Turners. At least I have my fantasy football team. I don't gotta watch this crap. I can put together a lineup. You know what I'm saying? So I remember kind of falling back on those things where I was so invested as a Charger fan. Fuck them. At least I have my fantasy team. So I'm on both here, but after going through this, guys, like, trust me, I tell people the story all the time. I went through a 10-day depression when the Chargers left San Diego. I didn't know what to do, guys. What am I gonna do? Just root for people in the league? Like I kind of felt like I needed a team, right? I didn't know what to do, and so I had a different transitions or different criteria of how I chose a team. So when I hop on the Panthers wagon of a team that's never won a Super Bowl, I feel like I cursed it. Like, I never forget how Andrew made fun of me. He's like, Ben, I think it's you. Like, you're the one that's causing it. Owner talking about owners and the way things happen.
I know McCaffrey left.
McCaffrey traded to the damn Niners, and now he's going off again. Like. So, anyways, but to see a winning record for the Panthers after all of that, I don't think I've ever seen the Chargers go through that. They always had a quarterback. So I don't know. I don't remember the Chargers quite going so.
Must be nice.
Something.
Must be nice.
So anyways, that's tough. So anyways, great question. Where are we at? We're doing great on time. Is it time to let's look at the 3-team real quick, guys, and see what happened this week. I need your guys' help.
The 10-team?
I thought I made some good moves. It didn't matter what I've done last week. I'll show you guys what happened. It did not matter. Where are we?
Yeah, with the 10-team, unfortunately, you probably always have teams just go off, because there's so many studs on each team. So,
I will say this with the Christian McCaffrey thing. Everybody kind of, I think, keeps expecting him to get hurt or whatever, and he's had a lot of usage. But I'll say this, the 49ers, they went out and actively got Brian Robinson, and you would think if they were concerned at all about McCaffrey wearing down, they would be utilizing him. That's not a bad running back. Brian Robinson's a good running back, and he ain't making his way into the game that much. They're still leaning on McCaffrey. So, I think, Nick, like you said, with McCaffrey owner, barring injury, but I don't think the risk is as high as we all thought it would be. So
in our draft, I was going to take him. Joe and Tomo took him the pick before me. I had 7. I was eyeing him. I was like, he's going to be there. I want him. That's what I wanted. Obviously, I just pinned it to Genty just because he's my guy, and everybody had him rated that high. But I was going to take that risk at 7.
Oh, I figured you would. We had just talked about it that week before.
Yeah.
This is another guy who I think is going to be on championship teams, George Pickens. He just seems to show up every week. God.
Well, CeeDee Lamb came back, and he only had 12 points. So those 30-point games, I would halt on them. We'll see. He carried your team up to this point, but with CeeDee Lamb back, we'll see how he continues, because he wasn't really doing that good when CeeDee was in there.
So last week I got beat by the Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, and Patriots defense combination.
Jesus.
Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor?
Correct. It's a 10-team, right? So everyone went kind of receiver quick, and so this is what we went last week. It was 170-97. Nothing we could have done. I even spot played Kayshawn Booty last week and got a good point out of it, and didn't help us. Bears defense didn't help us. Got James Cook, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, and Deebo Samuel, Algier on the bench. And I picked up Shakir and Barner, who's actually surprisingly a top tight end. Sneakingly, he's someone I've been paying attention to kind of fill in for Kelsey when we have to use a bye week. So let's go back to the team real quick. And here's what we have this week. Baker Mayfield versus New Orleans, 100%. Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel versus KC, Travis Kelsey. I got Chuba Hubbard. It's something we need to talk about, I guess. Everyone, I'm sick of talking about it, the Rico Dowdle thing, but maybe we should talk about it because we have him in our flex.
Start him. Yes, keep him.
Yeah.
Buffalo's run defense is not good.
And we got Boutte versus So, and we got Shakir. So, I don't know if there's anybody like DJ Moore. I want to put faith in them. He gives them looks. He tried to get him a touchdown. Nope. Like, how are you in the hospital and then you're still playing?
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Right? That was weird. So
for a groin injury, so you're thinking soft tissue, you go to the hospital, and then you go out and play next week. It was very, very bizarre.
I like the Bears D versus Baltimore.
If Lamar Jackson's not there, then absolutely.
Yeah.
So far we'll go with this. There's no changes. We'll go with this week, but we're still hanging in there. We're 3-4. We're mid pack in the points. So same thing. We're gonna just have to stay in there, and we'll get the top 4. All right, you guys. So with that, we'll stop the share, and do you guys want to talk about? Is it too early to talk about playoffs? The real playoffs for the NFL. Is it too early?
It's never too early. I think that overnight the Chiefs went from this 2-3 team that nobody gave any credit. Like they just, I know, sorry Nick, but the Raiders, looked like they didn't have a pulse. But
they didn't.
But Mahomes has been great the last few weeks, and the defense has always, been pretty solid. I don't see with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. I mean, they're 1-5 right now. The Chargers, if that O-line is gone, they have no running game anymore. Buffalo, if they don't start getting healthy and figure out how to protect Josh Allen, they're done. I mean, it's looking like it may be the Colts, and I don't care. It's a great season the Colts have had. It's a lot of fun, but you're not going to put Daniel Jones up against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs and tell me that the Colts are going to pull that off. The fucking Chiefs, again, it's like they figure it out every year.
So they're unfortunately the Chiefs are the favorite again, and I hate that I have to say that.
Even though they're 8th in the bubble, they're still the number 1 favorite.
Well, yes, because of how they're rolling. But I will say, if the Chargers and Broncos both make the playoffs and they have to play the Chiefs, those are 2 teams in division, know them well, play them tough. Like the Chiefs aren't a juggernaut. They're starting to look that way a little bit, but I think their defense is still suspect. Don't look at the Raider game. That doesn't mean anything. Their defense can be scored on. Their defense isn't as dominant as it was when they were winning those championships. So even though the Chiefs offense looks a lot better in division, they know each other well. They got 2 top-notch coaches. And then honestly, dude, the Colts seem impressive, dude. They could play with anybody. I don't care about the Chargers storming back. That's what they do every single time. That's just what it is. And when they needed to shut the door, they did. But the Colts they win in the trenches, and we know that's where you win these games in the playoffs. And if they meet the Chiefs in the playoffs, they could possibly win. But again, I wouldn't bet on any of these teams. I'll tell you that.
There's another team that's doing that too, that nobody's given any nobody's given any sunlight to, and that's, dude, the Patriots are quietly looking really, really good. Drake May's looked really, really good.
Vrabel.
Their I mean,
I just can't believe it. I just can't.
I can't either. And honestly, I'm still saying that. But they're going to be one of those teams that we're going to say that all season, and they're going to upset some teams in the play. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, I think the flip side, yeah, they might be in the flip. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I see them losing some games. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets beat them the second time around, and like we're gonna see these
right
with who? What quarterback?
The teams
all they need is a quarterback.
Justin Fields.
I'm not calling it, and I'm not betting it. What I'm saying is, we always get these games like, how did they lose to that team? How did they? Because they're so young, and I know it is Vrabel. I mean, they already lost to the Raiders. I know it was week 1, so you can throw it out, but they did lose to the Raiders. So they're gonna have these. I don't trust their running game. I really don't when it comes down to it, huh?
They're evolving. Don't trust their running game. Look where their running game is at. Look where their running game is.
They have a really easy schedule. They've had a really easy schedule. So I'm just pausing. I'm just not a believer just yet. I'm just pausing on them.
I'm with you on that.
I'm not saying they're a bad team. Of course not. They're 5-2. I think I've always liked Vrabel. I loved him in Tennessee. I think he's a great coach. Drake May seems like the real deal. But I just when they're so young, quarterback's still young, and the minute we have faith in somebody, then that's when the true colors come out, and we're like, why were we believers? Like,
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
just quiet. They're just quietly under the radar, and they're quiet. And I think they're getting better and better, and
well, I was
they're
gonna bring it up last night. You guys watched the game last night. I'm like, what's up with CJ Stroud? Like, he
I
was
was just gonna
the
they
ask
got
next
rid of.
that.
best thing.
I'll tell you, they got rid of Laramie Tunzel. That offensive line cannot run block. They cannot give him time. He's getting crushed back there. It don't matter. Tank Dell is hurt. Tank Dell is out. Nico Collins seems like he's hurt
He
every other
got
week.
hurt.
Like
Well, even so, I don't know. Like, and you're right, Jake. I'm not saying maybe he's feeling the pressure and all that stuff. True. I mean, we've seen even Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Like, if you don't have a no line, it makes it hard for whoever you are. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I'm watching. There's just a lot of throws that I feel he's missing. You know, they're not even close. Like, he had a couple guys open deep last night. He's overthrown them by 3 yards. Like, that connection, that magic he had in his rookie year. It's
yeah,
just not there no more. I don't know if it's confidence. Obviously, O line. Maybe he's got a little more happy feet than he should. He doesn't
he
look like he has happy feet. He looks solid in the pocket. It just looks like he's missing the throws. I can't really tell confidence wise because he always looks like that. Even when they're
yeah.
rolling good, he looks like that. So I don't want to say it's anything about confidence, but
He
yeah,
went
no,
from a really good team around him. Think about it, like his rookie year, Joe Mixon had a stellar year as his running back. Now he's got Nick Chubb back there. They lost their left tackle.
well, I thought Marks was the next best thing. You told us on this show.
And Marks looks good, but the thing is they can't get a running back out of the backfield without getting hit. And I'll tell you what, I watched the whole game last night. We don't get the luxury of watching every minute of every game. That was the first game that I saw Houston, on prime
Every
time
minute.
and
Mhm.
watched. And Marks looks really good. He's fast, he's quick, and he's a physical runner. But the dude's getting hit before as he's getting the ball handed off to him. And the announcers last night they made a comment that I think it was 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1, and the Texans went for it and they did running play both times. And like, why do they keep going back to this? That offensive line is not capable of being a power run blocking offensive line, and it's evident. So I don't think they I think with as far as Stroud goes, it's just you went from having cruising in the Ferrari down the down down the 5 on a summer day to now you got a lot of shit that's different. You don't got Mixon, you don't got you lost the best left tackle in the league in Tunzel, and they did not do anything to replace him. And he's getting the shit kicked out of him. So yeah, that throws off your timing, and you don't know he's still a young quarterback.
I was just gonna ask that, Nick. Looking at those playoff picture, doesn't it feel too long ago? We were talking about that spooky playoff game between the Texans and the Chargers last year, and where the Texans were last year and how they were playing, and now they're 2-4. What the heck? And so, I guess we can go back to 3 years ago in the draft when we chose Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud.
Still
I
taking
always
Stroud.
say let it play
The
out.
confirmation
Let it play out.
still lingers. I'm not going to say who at this point, but the confirmation is still lingering. Still got plenty of time. Jacob,
Yo.
I think this week's game between the Bills and the Carolina Panthers has potential to have a high fantasy value game. And
Okay.
and so, just to tell you, just going through the videos, there's a lot of anticipation going into this game for the Carolina fan base and the organization because it's a respectable team.
It's a shame that Bryce Young's out.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know why coach is playing the game. I think it's because if you're a head coach, let's talk about it. I think you finally see him getting in rhythm, and now he has to sit due to an ankle. It's almost as if, wait a minute, let's see if we can get you through the game, keep you in rhythm with your guys, keep you going with the high ankle sprain as a quarterback. It reminds me of the whole Phillip Rivers LT thing. They gave ALT such a hard time because he couldn't play as a running back with an ALC strain. But Phillip Rivers was a god because he could play quarterback with the same injury. It's different, right? It's different. So we'll see what he can do. But after what we saw from Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, and how Andy Dalton finished that game with Xavier Legette, I'm okay with Andy Dalton going in too. That's what I'm trying to say. No matter what, I still think it's going to be a high fantasy game.
Well, I'll tell you this. Carolina's defense, it's like I can't figure them out sometimes, but like, are they good? Are they bad? Like, I don't know. But, just looking, since week 1, Jacksonville, they gave up 26 points, then 21 points. But then it's like then they shut out Atlanta. But then, New England, they gave up 42 points, 24 to Miami, 27 to Dallas. And then they shut out the fucking powerhouse, or held the powerhouse Jets to 6 points. So, Buffalo, if they can slow down James Cook in that run, and they can contain Josh Allen, which I think the game script to do that is out there. Yeah. They might, but going in with the backup quarterback, Buffalo's defense is kind of middle of the pack. They should be getting a few guys back. They've had a lot of injuries on defense, but they're going to have to. Carolina's probably going to have to put up somewhere if they want a legit shot at winning, probably 24 to 30 points, I would say. And I just don't see that offense, especially with the backup quarterback, being able to keep up with that. So,
yeah. So on that game, Ben, unfortunately, I'm going to play the odds and just the football. So, ESPN bet has the Carolina Panthers as a 7.5-point dog, at home. Usually get 3 points at home. So what they're really saying is they're like a 10-point dog. The Bills are coming off a bye. You guys are coming off kind of like an easy win, so to speak, right? Against the Jets. It's kind of a no game, even though every NFL game starts. The Bills are coming off a horrible loss into a bye. Unfortunately, being a Raider fan, I've seen this too many times where they get us after a tough loss or after the bye, and they just see this team that they can go in there. Josh Allen's going to have his eyes wide open and just, unfortunately, the Panthers haven't earned that respect yet, right? They're a scrappy team. Don't get me wrong. We're starting to see that. So they're starting, but they haven't earned that reputation yet. So Josh Allen, the Bills are going to come in and honestly, the point total is 45.5. So that's kind of middle of the pack, not really high. So Vegas is saying that, the Panthers aren't going to score 24, 30 points, because then the point total will be a lot higher than that. Because if the Panthers are scoring 24, to be at 45.5, you're telling me the Bills are scoring 20,
right.
Less than 20. So that doesn't add up again. NFL, anything happens. If they win, I'll be ecstatic for you, Ben. But just looking at it from an analytical point, the Bills coming off a bye, they're basically a 10-point favorite. Vegas is normally not that far off. The Panthers have been hit and miss, like Jake said, with that defense. I want to say they're good, but then they show us they're not. So, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game. The game they have highest on the over under is the Broncos Dallas game. So that
Oh, wow.
Dallas, I think, is always going to have the highest total because no one can stop their offense. And then Denver likes to score 30 points at the end. So
well, just to add on to the excitement of this Bills Panthers game, I think one of the reasons why there's a lot of in-house excitement of Jacob is Sean McDermott is a former coach from the Atlanta Panthers. So is Brady. A lot of the former Panthers from the organization, some of them are kind of still there in Buffalo. So a lot of connections, kind of back house. And so a lot of people coming home to Carolina in this home game. Does that make sense?
I think it's a pretty simple blueprint how Carolina beats Buffalo, and that's Carolina needs to come out early. They need to run the shit out of the ball. That's one thing you can do on Buffalo. Keep Josh Allen off the field. Don't abandon the run if Buffalo, if Buffalo comes out first and they score a touchdown or whatever. don't think you got to go out and throw. Keep Josh Allen off the field. Run the shit out of the ball. Okay, you got if Chuba Hubbard's healthy now, and Rico Dowdle's been on fire. Run the crap out of the ball. Keep Josh Allen off the field, and if you can get actually ahead of Buffalo, a touchdown or maybe 10 points or whatever. Buffalo does this thing where it's just they lose their minds and they start throwing the ball and they completely get away from the run and Buffalo's receivers are not the kind. I mean, I don't know. They've had big games, and all that stuff. But if Carolina has any kind of a pass rush, Buffalo will throw the ball. You know, there is a path to success for Carolina. But
Well, I'll tell you where it's going to be. The only thing that I'm going to guarantee that will show up, that has to show up in this game, is the run defense for Carolina. No one's talking about how they kept Bijan under 100 yards. They kept Devon Achane to 19 yards, Devontae Williams to 50 yards. And they're holding all the Breece Hall to 100 yards. Their run defense is top 10. Look into it.
Why?
So,
No, that's why I told you I can't figure them out, because I've had fantasy players
that's what it
play
is.
against Carolina,
Yeah.
and it's like they are disappearing. It's like, what the hell
That's what
happened?
it is. It's the run defense. The run defense shows up. But that may not be good enough to beat Josh Allen, right? Like you said, this is why there's excitement, because it's an important stamp. We'll see if they are in that league to even compete with a team like Buffalo. They're excited to be at home with that. So if there's anything else you guys want to cover for week 7, going out, anything want to leave Seth here hanging in there? Even though he's got 2 wins in our league, Jake, he's still better than me. So maybe we can give Seth some. We did a trade, by the way. I traded Saquon Barkley and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I saw that.
For Kyron Williams and Justin Jefferson. I just need to fill in that receiver gap. I lost Tyreek Hill. I'm losing Garrett Wilson for a couple more weeks. Kyron Williams is producing okay, just right behind Saquon. So I had to fill in. That's why I accepted it. Great trade, Seth. I accepted it in a heartbeat because I needed receiver help. And so we'll see if I can salvage and go on a 6-game win streak. And then maybe I'll have a chance, Jacob.
Well, get to it. Like I said, anything is definitely possible. Just get to it. Do you guys see any stars, any names around the league that you see more than likely you can't not see this player getting traded in the NFL?
Wow, I love that.
Initially, it was Alvin Kamara, but they said they're not trading him. But
so many.
So just to clear the air, because I know Andrew brought it up, the article came out that Raiders are not going to trade Max Crosby.
Wow.
And Max Crosby himself wants to remain a Raider. Jacoby Myers still said he wanted to be traded. He said he's a professional and he's going to keep playing. The Raiders are on their bye, so obviously with our season, he's not a big star player, but he could be a vital piece to a contending team. He'll compete for one of the top number 2 receivers in the game in my mind. He's not a true number 1, but if you have him as your number 2 or even another case of number 3 and you trade for him, I think you're getting a hell of a player. He almost played last week. I know he has a little bit of injury, but he did a pre-workout. He was running around doing drills. He just wasn't 100%. Or the bye was coming and they just played extra safe. But other than that, I don't know.
What do you guys think of the Dolphins situation? They just lost to the Browns. They're 1-6. Everybody was saying, Mike.
I don't know why they're not firing him, but I guess they're waiting.
Do you think that there's a fire sale coming where they?
There has to be.
I mean, because Quinn Ewers is supposed. They're already calling for him, but Achane, Tua, these players are obviously not going to be part of the future now moving forward.
Well, you can't trade everybody, right? I think you got to keep Achane. I think he's young enough.
What is he, 3rd year, 4th year?
Yeah, I mean, you might have to extend him. It depends, but you definitely got to get rid of Tua or just let him go. I don't think you'll get anything for him.
I don't know.
Waddle's a good trade piece.
I don't know where I heard this, but somewhere through the Instagram Vines or TikToks, but it was when Tua was blasting his team about not showing up to the meetings and whatnot, and someone just said, "Oh, there's the crack in the egg. There it is.
Oh
It's
yeah.
gonna make this freaking thing fall. Because it's kind of exposing everybody. But the only insight I have about that is Robert Hunt, who was signed last year from the Miami Dolphins. When he came into the building, there's a video of him on Panthers.com. There's a video of him talking about, wow, I didn't think there was a more positive coach than Mike McDaniels. Because he goes on saying Mike McDaniels is just positive in a weird way. Okay?
Oh,
And,
he's
and,
weird, all right.
and then there's
He's
other
an
people
interesting
saying,
fellow.
I forget where I saw like a cameo or Stephen A. Someone just said, like through the grapevine, what's going on in Miami. Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's what Ryan Fitzpatrick because he has links to Miami or whatnot because he was there. He was the one that said it's a crap show in Miami right now. So I don't know. I don't know why they're keeping it around. Like what? Draft picks? What is it at this point? Because I don't know. I don't know. If Mike
Yeah, I
McDaniel
mean,
if Mike McDaniels can coach at this point, I can coach at this point. These situations give me hope.
yeah, I mean it's unfortunate because it seemed like he was a pretty good coach. Comes from the Niners, right? Kyle Shanahan, he's got good tutoring or good skills out of that. But I think his style and the way he is, it's just it's great when you're winning and it's just fine. But unfortunately, when shit hits the fan like this,
Yeah.
if you don't have the structure, you don't have the discipline, you don't have you know, the like the yeah, basically the discipline that these other coaches have, the Mike Tomlins and the Bill Belichick's and even the variables and those types of like the minute I know you just lose the whole locker room quickly, very quickly, and that's what
You don't
happened.
got grit.
Players do not respect coaches that were not players at some point, and
Yeah.
McDaniels never was. He was a kid who, when his dad coached, he was an 18-year-old ball boy, and he was always on the sidelines working as an assistant or whatever. But it's just players look at guys like Vrabel, guys like Dan Campbell, Tomlin.
Unless you have proven success in hardware, unless you come in and have proven success, the players will respect you. But
Yeah,
you
well,
need
there's
the
more on that though,
hardware.
because when McDaniels came in, the Dolphins' offense was absolutely prolific. Like people were
Yeah.
just amazed by, what that Miami offense did, and since then it's completely turned around. And I just think it's because players can come in late and they can, miss meetings and stuff, and there's no discipline for it. And I just think he's just completely lost the respect of the players. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It happens it seems to happen to a team per season. Somebody's taken. So yeah, great question. We'll keep more into that. Trades. I heard Derrick Henry was on that block. I've
I've
heard
heard that myself.
I've heard some pass rushers like Hitchinson from the Bengals. Like there's some things. Phillips from Miami because we lost the Pat Jones. We lost a guy for end of the year for a lower back surgery. So I guess we're in the market now for an outside linebacker and pass rusher. So
I got one more question.
one more question, we'll end the show, sir.
Okay, because Philly has now proven that they cannot win without passing the ball, because Saquon has fallen off, and they've had 2 games now where they've had to rely more on the passing
Here we
game
go,
to get it
Seth.
done in the running game. They were talking that Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown were big trade targets. Now, do those guys move? Do the Eagles move away from those guys because now that they've had to rely on the passing game, or do they stay put because obviously they need the passing game, or do they move on?
I'll answer it real quick before you go, Nick. What I see about the Eagles is it's like last year that they didn't pass the ball, but when the playoffs came, they started doing it. It was almost like they flipped it. The teams that don't have run game, well, in the playoffs, you need to run the ball. You need to do it. So I know they don't have it in the regular season, but I think they show when they need it, they need it. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, they're still winning games. I don't know if they just completely forget about it. I don't know if AJ Smith and Devontae, or AJ Brown and Devontae Smith don't mix with their scheme. I don't
I
get
mean,
it.
you traded away Saquon for a reason, right? He hadn't done nothing.
Yeah, like he's not Saquon. He's not my first round pick, so I had to improve it. So 100%. But obviously, they need to lean on the pass game. They have to. They've been all of a sudden Dallas Guard became relevant again out of nowhere, which doesn't make any sense when you're not using AJ Brown. So they're still a contender. They're still one of the best teams in the league, but I got no clue.
I think you just stay true. The Eagles are one of the weirdest teams over the last 3 years. Don't panic. I mean, they did this a couple years ago. Remember, they started 11-1 and then lost. Then shit hit the fan. Lost 5 straight. Sirianni should get fired. They played one of the worst playoff games ever in history. They got demolished, and and then the start of last year, same thing, struggling. Fire Sirianni. We talked about it on this show. Should Sirianni get fired? He's a douchebag. This and that, and they go and win the Super Bowl. So I just it's this weird type of, they find any type of way to win. They've won with Hurts throwing 99 yards. They've won with, like, it doesn't matter. Just you know, they just have this style. They're just gonna do whatever it takes that week. It doesn't matter how ugly it looks. Doesn't matter. I don't know. Sirianni has this little, and they can go through turmoil. We did last year. AJ Brown reading the book on the sideline, all this crap. Okay, those teams aren't supposed to win the Super Bowl, but they did. So if I'm an Eagles fan, and like Seth is, I'm like, okay, we're a team with some drama.
Yeah.
It happens. It's happened for 3 straight years now. Anytime Nick Sirianni's led that team, it is just these weird articles and books, and AJ Brown's unhappy, and we can't pass the ball, and this and that. And you know what? They're still
win.
right there.
They're
They've been
winning,
to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Why? Hey, it's a functional dysfunction. Like, it just,
Right.
I don't know how to,
That's
like
a good way to
Jake,
put it.
or like
Yeah.
Ben. You can't really pinpoint it. Can it just? You know what? When Saquon needs to run for 150, he's gonna do it. Watch,
Right.
I guarantee you guys, it's just
Yep.
gonna happen.
Congratulations,
They're gonna
Seth.
go for 78 yards.
Congratulations,
He's gonna
Seth.
rush for 180,
Enjoy it.
and we're gonna be on here like, oh, is Saquon back? And then he's gonna rush for 10
No,
yards,
100%.
and Jaden Hurts is gonna
100%.
like. They just do what it takes to win.
Yeah.
Don't trade your guys. You got to go try to win the back-to-back. My thing, if you get to the playoffs and you have talent, you have that talent, you got a chance to beat anybody. That's just all there's to it. I'm not saying
right.
they're going to, but you get rid of that talent, you're going to decrease your odds to go back-to-back. So
And rumors
you gotta
of
defend your title.
rumors of Brandon Graham coming out of retirement to sign with the Eagles for some
Yeah,
reason. What's
I heard
that
that.
about? What's that about? Does he see them as needing help, or does he see them as like, ooh, I can get me another one, real quick? How does Brandon Graham see it?
He sees it as I can get paid one more time.
Yeah,
I mean, they're 5-2, man. They gotta. Hey, I think the Giants are legit. Like with Jackson Dart, they look great. They got a good test in division. Let's see. I know they gave that game to the Broncos, but hey, the last few games with Jackson Dart, they look impressive in my mind. Even though they're 2-5, the Giants' defense comes to play. They're not an easy out. They're just not. And Jackson Dart seems like the real deal. So let's see. Let's see if they can back up last week and just ride the ship.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys very, very much for being here today and giving us your energy, Nick and Jake. Thank you, Seth, for being our #1 chatter like always. And here we go, guys, after week 7. So we will be back here again next Tuesday for sure at 6 p.m. to cover the finish of fantasy football season. So once again, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake. Thank you to all our viewers around the world.
You got it.
Peace be the
See
journey.
you guys.
And one love.